there guys, this is Canadian Conquistador. I'm here bringing you another video, although this is not the video I promised in my last video that's going to come up in the next week or so. So I decided to sneak one in here in between that one and the last one. I wanted to talk about something that I read about in the prepping communities about how you need to build a network system, right? A network of fellow like-minded people, maybe people that have different occupations than yourself, have different skill sets than yourself. And I was thinking in my mind, what is the absolute bare minimum of people you need in a support group to survive the impending hordes? So we've all heard about the lone wolf, right? It's something in most people's fantasies, ideas of wandering the wasteland with your gun and your dog and just being by yourself, your master of yourself, no one telling you what to do. And a lot of the preppers in the communities will tell you that the lone wolf is probably one of the worst ideas you could ever have. The lone wolf is by himself. A lone wolf falls down, breaks his leg, what have you, and he has nobody to help him. He's going to die of infection. He might be able to mend his wounds, particularly if they have medical skills. Injury, drinking something that's poisonous, some contaminated water, eating rancid food, something like that that just puts you down in bed. You could never recover. You might never recover from this. If you've ever experienced dehydration, you're pretty much bedridden, and if somebody's not bringing you crackers and dark juices to rehydrate you, you don't have the strength to help yourself out of this situation. So you could possibly die. But there's other things being a lone wolf that is not very ideal. In the fantasy world, being a lone wolf seems like a good idea. But let's say, when are you going to sleep? You know, when are you going to sleep? Nobody has your back. You have to keep one eye open. You're by yourself. You can't defend any structures unless it's like a one window building of some sorts. You might have the skills to last. I just wanted to discuss a little bit about this lone wolf theory. In my opinion, it's not a good idea. Some of us might find ourselves in this lone wolf situation, and we're going to have to do the best that we can with what we have. And hopefully we'd find some like-minded people in the future in our wasteland walk. There's a lot of things that I won't go into too much detail that the lone wolf will have a disadvantage. We have no clue how walking around being isolated is going to actually affect you in more ways than one. Large communities have a lot of benefits going for them. If you could network with people now, well, things are good on the internet. It's going to benefit you in the future, in the long run, if collapse does happen. If we find ourselves facing the horde coming at us. When we're in large numbers, of course, we can defend structures better. We can pull our resources together better. You might have some medics, you might have some carpenters, you might have assorted skills that are found in a lot of people. A lot of people meaning, you know, over 5 people in a group. You're going to be able to defend buildings and property better. You're going to be able to have the numbers to send people out to go scout or hunt for resources or forage. You're going to have people that can stay on the property that you're defending, and you're going to have some people that can go out and do perimeter walks, and this is going to be quite possible with a large group of people. You're going to be able to produce your own food, probably. When your community had seeds, and you get enough people to go out there and actually till the soil and get things back to normal, supply the people with food in that manner, or at best supplement communications by radio. You're going to be able to tell, like, people that might live on the outskirts of the perimeter are going to be able to radio in and tell the community, look, we got people coming this way, prepare yourself, or hey, these are good guys, let them in. And so communication is going to be pretty key. Also, when you have a larger community, you're going to have more resources for bartering with each other. If you have more of one thing and somebody has something else, then you guys can trade. You cannot do that as a lone wolf, obviously. What you have on you is what you have on you. But in a community, when they pool their resources together, they're going to typically have a lot more things to get them by with. Large communities will build a moral system. It'll build morale, and people will typically not be so depressed and so miserable in a collapse situation. You're going to need a leader for sure. And who's going to determine who this leader is? It could be a group decision, or somebody might stand out and obviously command the position, which might not be a good thing either, because then you just have a bunch of serfs and a king, right? And I believe I already mentioned strength in numbers, of course, when you have a large group of community, and especially if most of them are armed, nobody's really going to mess with you. One downside that I could see of large communities is you're going to be needing a lot more resources, okay? You're going to need a lot more food, a lot more ammo, a lot more supplies to keep that community together, which means that eventually you might have to go outside your property bounds and go look for resources. And if it's a large enough community, they could actually drain the resources in the surrounding area, which might inevitably mean that you have to move. Be vagabonds, you know, a vagabond group of people. What is a big enough prepping community? I would say if you find yourself with a minimal amount of people, 3 would probably be suffice. I would say 2 could even be good, but 3 would be even better. My particular community, seeing that I'm kind of quite the introvert, I don't really have friends outside of my relationships I have in my family. And here in Colorado, I have basically 3 in my community group, my prepping community group, I'd call that. If you didn't go on the internet, if you didn't find a community that was reasonable enough size where you guys can pool your resources together, you're gonna have to make do with what you have. Like I said, I have about 3 people where I live right now. The advantage of having 3 people is at least you can take turns going to sleep. You know, you got one person staying up watching the area, you have one person sleeping or 2 people sleeping at a time, so you can alternate. So at least you're going to get some sleep when you have 3 people. With 3 people, you can defend at least 3 sides of a building or whatever you decided to camp at. If it's a makeshift camp area that you made, or a building, a factory building, what have you, any kind of structure, you will be able to successfully defend at least 3 sides, meaning you can observe, you can see what's coming, and alert the other people that they're coming on this side of the building or that side of the building, and you guys can have eyes almost all 360. You know? 4 would obviously be better. You could cover all sides of the building, but 3 is going to be, in my opinion, close enough to being a lot better than a lone wolf, that's for sure. Your chances of being flanked is going to be a lot less, especially if you guys have been practicing those maneuvers. Decisions aren't going to be as scatterbrained as in a large community. You know, you get too many leaders in a big community, too many people barking orders, and it seems like nobody will go anywhere, right? Nothing gets done. But when there's 3 people, I think that decisions could be easily made or easier made than a large community. You only have 3 brains, 3 minds, and you guys can agree. It'd be a lot easier, I think, to agree with 3 people or 2 people than to try to agree with a group of people. Another thing good about 3 people, 1 person can be going out, or 2 people can be going out of camp to forage or scout or whatever you need to do, while 1 stays and defends the campsite or the building that you're protecting, or what you call home at the time. You can also divvy up the supplies, who's carrying what, and you know, 1 person's carrying the food and the water, and 1 person's carrying the ammo, the other one's carrying the sleeping gear and the medical equipment, whatever. It's easier to split up that stuff and make the work a lot easier. The thing I didn't mention about a large community is that Large communities typically will be, the advantage is that they can secure larger areas, right? But this also means they have to protect larger areas, whereas 3 people, you're not going to be able to protect a large compound or something like that. You will only be able to manage small buildings or small areas or up on a ridge line or something like that. You're not going to be commanding over great areas. You're never going to be able to secure large areas of property. In my opinion, resources will be easier to manage. When you find stuff, it's easier to divvy it up between 3 people, and you're not going to be consuming as many resources, obviously, either. One of the weaknesses of having only 3 people would be you don't have that strength in numbers. You know, it depends on the individuals that are within your triad, and if they can hold their own. You know, you're really relying upon each other to watch your back, and if there's one weak link, it's gonna break that trifold really quickly and easily. So guys, I just wanted to talk about this community and what the minimums are. I believe 2 would be possible, but you're really stretching it. It's almost like a lone wolf mentality, having just 2 people. At least try to get 3 people in your group. At least you can watch your backs. You can go to sleep. You can spread your resources, are going to be a lot easier to manage. You're not going to have as many leadership conflicts, I think. But you never know, guys. I'm just speculating. I'm not a genius or anything like this. I'm just ranting. I guess you can consider this one of my ranting videos. So, guys, like I said, got about a week till my next video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. And until next time, guys, we'll see ya.